welcome to the second episode of this automation let's play Against All Odds, where we play as an Archana manufacturer of light roadsters. We started in January 1957 and it's still January 1957. So what we did in the previous episode is engineer our car, a vision that we have for a light roadster. So here it is. And we also had a test drive in BeamNG and found it worthy to be put into production. There is one thing that I want to add before I forget it, and that's to add the code for a movable steering wheel. That's the first line, and then the second line is that the logo on the steering wheel, so this M logo, moves with it. So that's will then happen on any future cars in Beam that we drive. Otherwise, the car is ready, and we also set up the production the last time, so 7 months. So we did a tiny optimization for the engine, where we reduced top end quality a bit, so we can have one more tooling and a little bit more pressure to reduce the contract costs for the engine further. Otherwise, the factory is set up, or rather the contract is set up, and then our own factory is set up as well. So target shift should be 1, not 1.1. That sometimes happen if you play around with sliders a bit too eager with the mouse wheel. Probably want to reduce the quality threshold a little bit, simply to need less people to produce cars, because our recall chances are pretty decent. So 0.7, 0.5 is certainly fine, and we see here the profit increasing slightly. Doesn't or shouldn't make too much of a difference overall, but every little bit helps, especially now where we want to get things off the ground. So profit forecast, yeah, that looks all good. I'm not starting to play around again with the sales price. So last time we found out, yes, we can finance the thing, so that's neat. Takes 7 months. Of course, we want to have a longer payback time, so that we can reduce the monthly payment cost. So if we take the full 10 years, it's 44 per month. If we reduce it, it's not getting that much more, but we're reducing the amount of loan that we're paying over time, so 55 maybe. So 96 months. What's 84 months? That's, yeah, 96 months I think is decent. Whether it's 53 or 44, that's a tiny bit of difference in terms of marketing. So I guess that's fine. And have a bit more loan coverage so that I can start marketing early. Otherwise, this looks ready to be signed off. So let's do that. Let's take the plunge and advance by 1 month. So we're having the first pre-orders already, and we also have a bit of income, so we can start spending on marketing. So we'll only sell in Delua, because Archana doesn't have the convertible sport market. So first order is then to market to the convertible, and here we see the awareness rising. So we had 24k as a profit the last month, and this will only increase with increasing pre-orders. What else do they care about? So the big stats at the top, they are way too expensive usually to market in, so the things of interest are the 3 at the bottom. So that's first one is, I think, 1 kilometer time, second one is acceleration, the last one is cornering. So let's add 2 more to cornering as well, because that also affects light sport and sport so that we get a bit of exposure there as well. So 22.7, that's I think is a sensible amount to spend, so that we also keep a bit of a cushion in terms of actual cash on hand. But this looks good. And can probably increase it one more. 0.7.9, yeah, so maybe can we have more convertible? Oh, that's getting too expensive at this point, so maybe one more cornering. Yeah, so that's decent. So pre-order still trickling in, nothing overly ambitious. So it's now ready. So let's, from the additional cash, up the marketing for convertible one more. It's a bit of a jump, but I think that's then one of our main markets, I would suspect. One of the first actual sales. So we're selling off pre-orders quite nicely. And let's see where we sell to. So sales, monthly sales data in Dalua. Yeah, so convertible sport and also light sport premium and sport. So that's then two other market areas where this fits. Let's have a look into the sales breakdown for these three. So convertible sport. So we sell 6 nominally. So this here shows a larger number, but that's pre-order. So I think what the sales breakdown does is just have the sort of regular orders being fulfilled, not the pre-order. So we are, yeah. So here are 5, so 6, 7, 7th overall, and we're already better than this Daluan competitor. The other one was Light Sport Premium, only 1, and Sport 3. So here the market is a bit larger, but not overly large. So, and yeah, the Farinian companies have a even lower awareness than us, but the Daluans have more. But the main market obvious for a convertible is convertible sport. Okay, then let's see how this goes with once we have sold off the pre-orders, whether the whole thing is actually sustainable. And who are we then still selling to? Yeah, so that looks great, actually. So we sometimes this a pause button doesn't seem to trigger properly. Quality issue, severe issue, high difficulty, medium discovery chance. So what matters more is prestige, so we don't want to have prestige damage, so we go for full recall, and we have the cash for it. So we don't use the full factory shifts, so it would be nice if we could sell more. So what are we selling to? This now looks a bit different, also light sport as well. And we're actually selling more non-convertibles than convertibles, so 8 non-convertibles and 7 convertibles. And of course the extra weight affects things like sportiness, which are all very important here for sport and light sport. So then maybe what the market wants is also a regular car, a closed one, and not just a roadster. And so it's the regular first regular facelift. So let's call it the Series 1. We can also add a bit of quality to everything. So I'm doing that first because it makes sense to have these changes apply now to both trims, both the Roadster one and the Coupe one, and the same for the engine. So engine trim. So it's the 58. Yeah, let's say it's the 58. So then we can probably have some modest changes, a bit of quality to everything. So yeah, don't need compression. Can we get to 67? Not really. Probably if with some larger carb, larger manifold. Yeah, there we go. And can we rev a bit higher? Yes, we can do that too, and then probably stiffer springs so that this curve peters out nicely. So I'm just giving everything a bit of quality, and then we see how much we need to reduce or where we end up with the duration. What we should definitely change now, so we had now the car on the market for a number of months and seen others, have done, we also visited some of the racetracks, and then that there are radial tires which are much better than cross-ply. So if we switch, then we have to re-optimize, and so we can make the profile much lower. It's a bit more expensive, but I think these 500 are well spent, especially with sportiness and with lots of comfort as well, which is not that important. Or maybe we can make then the suspension a bit harder, that we keep comfort similar and then increase sportiness. So yeah, make it lower profiles. Can we make it, give it even lower profile? Do they want motor? Yeah, so then let's keep the... This is probably fine. Does the cost change? Not that much, so that's good. +2. And then, since this is already pretty stiff, maybe dampers? Yeah. So a bit for springs as well. So then we're actually losing a bit of comfort, but gaining sportiness, a little bit drivability, a lot less rolling resistance. So I suspect, yeah, we get higher top speed, at least a little bit as well. So that's decent. So then, okay, clear brakes +1 gives a lot of stats increase, but also more expensive. So what we could try maybe, and also we have now, what do we have? That less grip with the new tires. That's interesting, because I don't think this was that much of a difference. So we can go with smaller brakes and save some material costs maybe. So if I don't reduce the force but reduce the size, getting much better stats, much better material costs. So that seems to make a difference. If I go down further with brake size, the sportiness value doesn't badly. So this is minor changes, but lots of less material costs. So that's great. Maybe even further. And then now readjust the force. Yeah, that's I think nice, and we're losing a lot of material costs. So that seems to be the brake meta with the last changes. So even though the sportiness brake fade values don't look that great, they hardly affect stats. And who am I to argue with that? And so we're making some of the extra costs back. I'll simply add one quality everywhere, including interior, at least for the time being, and then we see, because here I'm wary about the extra material cost, though the stats increase for prestige and comfort are also pretty nice. But let's see how this plays out. +1 everywhere, and then see, except for safety, and then see where we end up in terms of engineering time. And suspension +2 is probably not that expensive, at least not in terms of engineering time. But again, let's see how this works. Can I some higher ride height? So this roll angle, I would like to keep it around 5. Okay, so a bit of a facelift, not the main focus for us for the time being. 7.5 extra engineering time is great. So that's, although we will want to reduce funding as much as possible. 1 year with some pressure. This doesn't increase. It increases slightly. So if we, what's this? Is this linear? The cost increase? So maybe 900,000, and let's say 9 months. And then now let's add the 1.6 coupe. Give it the coupe body that looks exactly like the convertible body. And remove the fixtures that are convertible specific. These two for the soft top, and here there to remove the one that make the rear glass disappear. So that's the coupe. Get now higher top speed because it's lighter. Tires need to be optimized, so they want to have more toe, or at least any way of understeer, more understeer. And the easiest way is to get that through toe. Whoa, that's a big change in drivability. There seems to be some sort of sweet spot around here. Is that... Do I want even more toe? It helps, it gives more drivability. So something like this. More right height. Can I loosen the front sway bar a bit? Yes. I can keep the same wheels. This is another 0.3 drivability, 0.2 sportiness. So new target is light sport. This has 120.5. Why is this 109? Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. 121. Yeah, so they want 0.2 sportiness over 0.3 drivability. Okay. Brakes. Since I'm now faster, but I probably could benefit from higher, from bigger brakes. Maybe just bigger brake pads. So 128. That's the same, so that doesn't matter. Bigger brakes to compensate for the bigger top speed. Mm, 129. Desirability 128, not really. So I'll keep it cheap, although these are pretty high. Maybe a tad more front brake. So rest is okay, because there's identical weight distribution. Can we play around with this one a bit? Not really. Doesn't have much of an effect. Probably just more suspension stuff. No. No. This is probably then... These sometimes, the rim offsets make some difference, but not much here, and it's nothing obvious, so we can leave it as it was. So now we can look at the sales numbers. And yeah, if we look at both, so the coupe adds this light blue part of the market, so especially this doesn't make any sense why. No, we need to look at the purple part of the circles, which is then corresponding to the light blue part here, so the unique part, so we will now capture more of the sport and light sport premium market. One thing, however, and this is not in terms of game mechanics, but more in terms of what makes sense from having a lineup. So this now has a top speed of 154 and 0 to 100 time of 11.7. And of course, our more expensive car is slower because it's heavier. So what we need and should do in turn, yeah, this is 13.5, so way slower. So what we should do in turn is give this one a bigger engine, a more powerful one. What I want to check first is with our current engine settings before I clone that one. How long will engineering take? So this is still at 9. So this is, I think, then a good, but this has become more expensive in terms of cost. Does this? No, I think this is fine. We can afford these few extra. So 147, a bit of less pressure. So 9 months to aim for. Engine engineering, hardly anything. That's great. So then that's something we can put into tooling at some point. So let's give the roadster bigger engine. So we clone our 58 variant and make it a 2 liter, since we have the 2 liter block anyway. So 94. Okay, we're running into stress. So harmonic dampener, so now we just have the crank conrod, so we need less RPM to alleviate this. We could probably go here for a bit of extra quality. So back to 0. So conrod, we have too much torque. But that probably changes once we make adjustments with the rest. So I'll give it again 90% carburetor and intake manifolds. Larger headers. One other thing that probably also makes sense, not in terms of gameplay, and I can illustrate that, but in terms of how things look like, that you can distinguish the two cars. Give the bigger engine a dual exhaust. So we make this smaller, probably reduce the quality, because this will cost some re-engineering time. So we're running, well, we have solved our reliability issues. We're still conrod limited in terms of RPM. So then we put some springs and lifters in. Yep, so here what I wanted to show is hardly anything changes with dual exhaust, but simply for display purposes. So 84 horsepower. We're at the power limit, perfect. Can we get... well, we don't need more compression. Conrod is running slightly into stress. How much difference is that? It's one full point. So maybe I could also address this with not with harmonic dampener. That has no effect on conrod strength. If we make sturdier conrods, we're running into more RPM issues, so that's not an option. Maybe loosening things up a bit further. So 24.7 for the conrod. Yeah, this reduces max torque a bit. This also. This looks great in terms of reliability. Stress here shows 0. If I increase by 1, it's a tiny increase. So then this is I think spot on. So then we have to adjust here. Yeah. And 0 to 100 is now 11.0, so it's faster, and it's going to be the more expensive car because it's the Roadster. So that makes a lot of sense. So new gearing, yeah, they want to have a higher first gear, probably also to cope with wheel spin. Bit longer gearing, but that hardly makes a difference. We want to give it wider wheels to cope with the extra power. Like it in terms of sportiness, but it needs some adjustment. Higher profile tires. Only a little bit, they don't have that much of an impact as well. So more tow, again. Huge difference. This looks nice, yeah. And it's probably easier to drive too. So doesn't change much in terms of first gear. So I think now is the time for a bit stronger brakes. And then to adjust the force. Then we have some, or the fronts lock first. What they probably would also do at this time is to change the bit basic front grille. So to remove this one, and I already have prepared the replacement. So I can insert that. So a bit of a smiling impression. And do the same for the coupe. Should have done that in the first pass. So delete the basic grille here as well. And paste the new one. Okay, now the hierarchy is back in order. Engine time, yeah, almost 9. That's great, but again we need to lose some funding, and here that makes a huge difference. So 1.5 is probably a good one. Yeah, but we have to lose some tooling, though I don't want to. So yeah, okay. Spending a bit more on engineering, but I think this is fine. Here our engineering time has run a little bit away with the insertion of the new engine, so we have to compensate for that. So a bit more pressure solves a lot of problems. Factory adjustment. I'm keeping things as they are, because as in the last episode, I like to work back from demand and pricing. So here we at least are above 1 shift, that's great. So let's find the sweet spot for our new coupe. So 16.5, I'm looking at 2 years, so now it's 0.9. 0.12, that's great. .38, great, better. 18.5. 1.54, and we're still within the 1 shift range. So that's something I can do. Limit minimum shifts to 1. So that should also give a bit more profit. Yes. So here we are then at the verge of needing less than 1 full shift. So more solution is more cars. And this is almost the same profit. 764. Can I make the roadster cheaper? Nope, that's worse. Can I make the roadster more expensive now that we have 2 cars for the same market segment and not one? Yes, 1.81. Even more expensive. 1.91. Because these were to an extent more attractive when they're more expensive. 21. So let's keep doing what we've been doing, since this seems to make sense. 209, but we get some more weird stuff with the forecaster. So this looks a bit more smoother, so that's a bit of a trade-off. Do I want actually to change anything in terms of tooling? Why are these target shifts shifted to 1.1 again? So it's of course in almost perfect condition, just a matter of automation and tooling quality. I think I can increase QA threshold a bit so that we produce less cars, so that we are below 0.5 for the first one. But I don't want to change major tooling. Save a little bit of money. And this, yeah, it reduces the profit simply because we now need more resources to produce the cars, but also then hopefully limits the amount where we have to go below 1 shift. The whole thing will take 9 months. But of course what we have to do with these quite substantial changes is do now 2 rounds of test driving. So both the Series 1 Roadster, which needs to have the right name. Now it's a 2-liter Roadster. So let's put that into BeamNG. Now the same for the coupe. And one final thing before I forget it again. Of course, we need to give our factory a good name. So you've seen the shed where we have been designing the prototype on the title cards, so now we are in a larger shed to produce our cars. And otherwise, now let's check one other thing. Can we finance the project as it is? Yeah, so we can get a full loan, which we need, because we make a tiny bit of money if we ignore the recall costs that we had last month. We make a tiny profit, but not much, so we basically need a full loan again. And it's not going to be cheap again, but it is doable to finance, so that's good. But until then, we need to test our 2 new cars, so the lone Archanan mountain road awaits us again. So, same deal as last time. Early Sunday morning, same road, around the Archanan basin, up a mountain. And we start with the coupe, which is lighter than the roadster, and is also now riding on radial tires, so let's see how it does. So, much faster, much more lively, much better grip through the corner, so the upgrade was definitely worth it. A bit of a handful under braking, so I guess we need to do some minor tweaks there to get it truly production ready, but otherwise, yeah, this is a big jump forward. So it's now a bit later in the morning. It took a while to get the roadster ready, and now it's on the same road as the coupe. So this has now the 2-liter engine, but it's heavier. It's also riding now on radial tires. So will it be indeed faster than the roadster? So indeed faster. That's good. And it wasn't the ideal lap, so it could be even more faster. And otherwise could also maybe need some slight tweaks to the brakes to make it less of a handful, but otherwise one more car that we can safely put into production.